Welcome back to Our Issues Milwaukee. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. My guests this morning are two guys that you know and love, former Green Bay Packers Gilbert Brown and George Koonce. And guys, we've been talking about a little bit of everything, but one thing you have in common, George, you been on the show and we've talked about this before, but you were drafted into the NFL by Atlanta, I believe.
I had a free agent shot. I wasn't
drafted, but you were picked up by Atlanta.
Didn't make it.
And cut right before the season started.
Yes.
Okay. And then Gilbert, you were drafted by the Vikings in '93, but waived during the final roster, and that was because of your.
I don't even claim it. So I think you made that up.
They cut you due to your weight. So you both understand, and I bring that up for a reason because so many times I talk to young people, especially in schools, and I ask, especially boys, like, what do you want to do when you grow up? I want to play basketball, I want to play football. And as good as you guys were, good enough to get to the NFL, it's still in that instant fell short of getting you where you probably had dreamed to be. And what advice do you have for young people who dream to play in the NFL?
Well, never give up on your dreams, because there's only about 1,800 guys in the National Football League right now. There's over 300 million people in the United States. Division I, II, and III, there's 78,000 football players. So just because you don't make it the first time, or whatever you may be doing in life, just because you didn't make it, don't give up. Keep fighting for it. And
that's it. Yeah.
Just keep fighting.
Gilbert, your advice?
Well, them idiots over in Minnesota, they didn't figure it out. So,
they're kicking themselves to this day, I'm sure.
I send Dennis Green a little anonymous letter every chance I get with thank you on it. So thank you.
And what advice do you say to young people?
Well, it's kind of like what George says, you know, because even though the first guy told you you don't have talent, you know, it doesn't mean you stop. It means you keep going, you keep doing what you have to do, and you keep going until you can't go no more, and then go a little further.
And I think that's with anything in life, regardless what your dream is. I totally agree with that. And so let's talk about life after football. You guys are doing some pretty big things. Now, George, you've earned a PhD, so I should have been calling you Dr. Koonce all along. I apologize. You work the athletic departments for Marquette, UW Milwaukee, and you've even been in the Packers front office, but you've also written a book about life after football entitled, Is There Life After Football? Surviving the NFL. In a nutshell, tell us about this book.
Well, you know, because a lot of players, you see all the headlines in the newspapers, on television about, you know, football players, basketball players, they earn all that wealth and they lose it all. You know, but there's some truth to it, because 78% of players 24 months after they're done playing in the National Football League, they're completely broke. So I just want to write about those issues and challenges, and a couple professors over at Marquette University, I teamed up with Dr. Jones and Dr. Holstein. We put out a really nice book. So we want that to be a roadmap for us. So, if you're in high school, you're in college, or if you're in the pros, that you might want to read and implement some of those principles that we lay out in the book to help you with your transition when you leave the league. Because at some point, it's going to happen. The National Football League, I think you play 3.5 years. That's the average player. So you have to be prepared for when the lights go out in the stadium or the gym.
And the cheers kind of fade, and that's what NFL stands for. I know you guys all say it means not for long. So when will your book be in bookstores?
November 1st.
November 1st?
Yeah, November 1st, and December 27th, we're going to have a book release at the new Packer Pro Shop up in Green Bay. So we're very, very excited about it.
Congratulations. And right now you're the VP of Advancement at Marian University.
At Marian University, trying to raise money. Because 51% of our students are either from low income homes or their first generation. So we need a lot of resources to help them get through. And I'm trying to do everything I can to help them live out the American dream. Gilbert and I was very, very fortunate. We had a football scholarship, but there's a lot of kids that's smart, deserving, but may not have any athletic prowess, but they deserve to go to college and have their shot at the American dream as well, like Gilbert and I.
I totally agree. Gilbert, You're a big radio personality these days. I love that. So it's the big 920 WOKY Gravedigger Radio. So that sounds like a commercial.
It does.
Tell us more about this radio show, and I'm assuming you're talking sports.
A little bit of sports, mostly about life, and basically geared to getting fan participation. My show is fun, it's witty, it's it's a little bit off the wall. We don't have like scripts or anything,
But you have the personality to do that, even with him saying, yeah, whatever. That's Gilbert,
Yes.
and people love that. So this show airs Friday nights.
Friday at 5:45.
Okay.
We also are on Madison and Eau Claire.
Okay, so all around the state of Wisconsin, people can pick you up. I love that. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And you're also
we got
doing.
to have you on there too.
I would love to. I'd
Make
love
our show
to.
look pretty.
Pretty doesn't matter in radio.
Yeah, it do for some people.
Well, and bullying is something that
Absolutely, yeah.
you're concerned with as well. You've got this bully-proof playbook for parents, teachers, and kids. Talk about that.
Well, basically, it's a strategy book where the kids can read, and at the end of each page, there are questions that the kids can answer, and then they can either take it to the teacher or their parents and see if they answered it correctly. My foundation does over 144 different charities.
Wow.
And it's all geared towards kids, if it's cancer or whatever it is. But this bully stuff is a whole different situation.
Right.
And I'm trying to bring the awareness to schools and parents, counselors, and teachers that this is not a slap on the wrist thing anymore. Because these kids are either going home hurting themselves or coming back to school to hurt somebody else, and some innocent kids in a way. So my big thing is laying in bed at night, myself, thinking about a kid that's laying in bed crying himself to sleep every night. And just think if that was your kids. You want to do something about it. And I always tell people, the best time you can ever spend with your child, one of the best times, is sitting at the dinner table with them and eating dinner.
And saying, how was your day?
Cut
What
the
happened at
TVs
school?
off, cut the Playboy, whatever it is off, and enjoy your kids.
I wasn't ready for that one.
Game Boy. Yeah, that is Game Boy.
Oh, boy.
You know what I'm talking about.
Now, what I do want to talk about, there's been a lot of issues, and I'm not going to ask you to put yourselves out there and give your opinion, but it's the elephant in the room when you talk about the NFL these days. A lot of different things in the news, and it hasn't always been about the guys playing on the field.
Right.
So October is also National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and so there, of course, is the Ray Rice scenario that kind of forced us meaning society, to look at domestic violence, talk about it, and that's something a lot of times people don't like to talk about. And then also you had the situation with Adrian Peterson,
Right.
and it forced people to kind of look at how they discipline their kids, because I think a lot of us, we grew up, saying, hey, well, I got disciplined, I'm okay, but it made people look at where's that line and when is it crossed. So my question for you guys, I won't ask you to talk about any of these specific scenarios, but how did you feel personally seeing attention taken away from the game to look at players' individual scenarios?
Well, that's very, very unfortunate, because the NFL is the most popular sport in our country right now. And whenever you take away from the hard work that the players and the coaches are putting in, that's a shame. I don't like that. But there are some very, very egregious acts that Adrian and Ray Rice did. But I remember my mom used to tell me, "I'm going to tear you up." I used to get this.
I think we all heard that. Yeah.
So, but it's very, very unfortunate. And hopefully, we can move. They could use it as a learning lesson, and we can move forward.
Yeah. And Gilbert, you just want to leave it alone, or you want to comment?
Well, I'm just saying that the NFL has done a lot of things as far as for myself and for George, and given us an opportunity to get in front of a lot of fans.
Great
And
platform.
so they also got the opportunity to change a lot of lives with the things that they do off the field. So I think that the NFL is moving in that direction. Might have been just a little bit too slow, but eventually I think that the most powerful game on our planet, which is football, baseball, hockey, soccer, the best game ever, and I think that the NFL is gonna get it on track.
Yeah, it's a learning lesson, I think, to see that it's important that when players first get into the league, they'll have a different approach, I think, in trying to explain how they are a representation of the entire league and how it's important to take care of their personal issues any means necessary, you know. What I want to quickly talk about before we run out of time is current situation, football. The Packers looking pretty good.
Very good.
I'm sure you guys agree with that. Now coming up, we've got the Saints, and then there's a bye, and then on November 9th, the Bears at Lambeau. So your thoughts on where the Pack's going this year? Do you see a Super Bowl, or is it too soon to say?
Well, just like Aaron Rodgers said, everybody relax. You know.
Keep calm and just watch.
I always say when I go to schools and stuff, and I always say I'm not the one that discount double check, and I'm not the one that flashes my hair around. You know, but we did go 2 Super Bowls,
back to back.
Back to back. So this year I think
it's trouble for you.
It's a little bit too early because you still got some good games coming up. The Bears don't count though, so let's not put them in the because they got smashed the first game, didn't they? The one that I think that's really going to be the game is going to be December 28th when they go play Detroit.
Okay.
That's going
Your
to be
hometown.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily. I don't claim them either. No. I'm just saying that the way Detroit is playing and the way we are playing, that's going to be the game to see who's going to be the champs of the division.
Okay.
That's great.
And you agree with that?
I agree with that, but New England's going to be tough, but we have them at home. So we have a tough road. We have a tough schedule ahead of us, but I think we're playing very, very well. We just got to make sure we stay relax and stay away from those injuries.
There it is.
We're 5-2 right now.
It goes, yeah, and that sounds good. And it's exciting during football season to lead up to the big game. And it's going to be interesting to see if the NFL actually asks people to pay them to perform at the Super Bowl for halftime. We'll see how that works out.
The NFL's becoming very, very greedy.
On that note, I just want to say thank you guys so much for coming by and talking. It's a pleasure. You both are great guys. Gilbert Brown, of course, a former nose tackle for the Packers. You can catch him on the Big 920 WOKY Radio Friday nights from 5:45, and it's Gravedigger Radio for sure. And then you have Dr. George Koonce, a former linebacker for the Pack. His book, Is There Life After Football? Surviving the NFL, will be in bookstores November 1st. And that is going to do it for today's show. I'm your host, Andrea Williams, as always. Thank you for watching, and I do hope you join us again next week as we take another look at our issues, Milwaukee. Have a great day.